For the last 4 days, there has been and continues to be a teacher strike. Secondary school teachers under the union of the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers have said no. Previously, it was a combined strike with KNUT and KUPPET. And two gentlemen who join us in the studio today. The Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers is already here. Collins Oyuu is no stranger to the room. Collins, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, my dear.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
You look calm, but we know that there's a storm. So this is a good thing.
Yeah. In fact, I should be very calm.
You are. You seem that way. There are many things that are currently happening. Hopefully we'll also be joined by Akelo Misori, who is the SG of KUPPET.
Yeah.
And we'll go into some of these conversations this morning. But very welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank
You're
you.
in the hot seat. It's hot out there. It's hot in here as well, because we're looking at some of these issues and what exactly they mean. So we're glad that you've joined us again this morning. But let's welcome you properly.
Thank
CT,
you.
as you know, goes around and he gets proverbs from different parts of Africa. And he has one today, and I think I liked it from the beginning, but I'd like to hear what you think about it and how you would interpret that.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the People's Republic of Algeria. Speak kindly or refrain from talking.
Right.
Seems simple.
If it's simple, yes, but I think it has a lot of meaning. When you speak kindly,
Yes.
you stand to be understood also kindly. If you don't want to be kind, then you simply stop talking. You get the wrath of whoever is listening to you.
Right. That's great, because you think about, you're just giving you're the one expressing, but you're never really thinking about how it's being received on the other side. If you want to be understood kindly, you might want to speak kindly as well.
You have to be kind. One good thing about a human being is when you excel in being understood.
Mm-hmm.
When whoever listens to you understands you calmly, that is when you expect a good response. If you want to begin a fight, don't be kind. Whoever is listening to you will not be kind to you as well. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Looking at the matter that we are dealing with, over the last week, let's look at last week. A time like this, both unions, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, which you oversee, as well as KUPPET, which Akelo Misori oversees, had a joint stand. And that was that they're going to withdraw teaching services from schools over very many issues.
Right.
Under the umbrella of the 2001 to 2025 CBA, where certain elements of the CBA had not been implemented or honored, as well as the most recent hiring of JSS teachers.
Correct.
When we are looking into the CBC curriculum, number one.
Right.
So taking them from the place where they were at the beginning of the year, late last year, just interns, to saying now you must hire them under PP status.
Permanent and pensionable.
Exactly, permanent and pensionable.
Right.
And so that was the bone of contention, where the union said, look, you're not going to hire them. We also are not going to join this circus.
Right.
That was the sentiment. As of last Friday, at least, that is what was very clear, that it was when schools opened on Monday, we are not going to be teaching. On Monday morning, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, again, which you oversee, said, all right, we've had a conversation and we've decided that we're going to go back to school.
That was on Sunday.
On Sunday night, actually,
Right,
sorry.
right.
In preempting school opening for some schools on Monday.
Correct.
I beg your pardon. And that was late in the evening, that announcement that was given. So KNUT teachers said, we are going to school on Monday.
Right.
Can we look at what precipitated this decision to go back? And was it that the unions were settled, or how? Just give us an idea of what was really going on and where we stand today.
Thank you. It is true that Kenya National Union of Teachers withdrew the strike notice. There's a misconception outside here that we called off the strike. We did not call off the strike. We withdrew a strike notice.
Okay.
You know, as a labor union, first of all, you have to give some alert to the Minister of Labor before you present a notice to the employer, which of course you must copy to the Minister of Labor, indicating that you are now ready to go unless your demands are met. Key to the demands was the implementation of the second phase of the CBA, which was not honored in the month of July by Teacher Service Commission, the employer. We had other issues that you mentioned, including the employment on permanent and pensionable terms of the 46,000 intern teachers. Alongside other raft of issues like the medical scheme, teachers were getting to hospitals, they were not getting treated. There were also issues of promotions that where teachers had stagnated for quite some time, and also matters of third-party deductions. You know, teachers have loans, teachers have shares taken to SACCOs, and Teacher Service Commission was not remitting this to the banks and the SACCOs. Now, when we start with Teacher Service Commission, now it was hot. You know, when you release a strike notice, it is now hot.
Yes.
And you're ready to go. You're now protected by the law, because we had actually carried out the rest that was expected in this journey now to call a strike through the notice. Then Teacher Service Commission had to invite us to a sitting at Kenya School of Government. One of the issues that was key, and I want to repeat, the elephant in the house, was the implementation of the second phase of the CBA. You know, the first phase was implemented in July 1st, 2023. The second phase was supposed to be implemented in July 2024.
Yeah.
Now, this is a document that we all signed. The top two of the union and the top two of Teacher Service Commission, that is the CEO and the chairman of the commission. The national chairman of the union, Kenya National Union of Teachers, and the Secretary General signed. A CBA must be deposited in a court of law.
Yes.
Which we did, and it is registered there. It becomes a legal document as per the labor charter, industrial charter, the laws of Kenya, and in fact, the requisite labor laws in this country. So Teacher Service Commission could not run away from it. And I want to tell you, if TSC did not implement the second phase of the CBA, it would have stopped us from negotiating a new CBA. You cannot introduce a new CBA when one other phase is not completed of the past CBA. And the deadline is the month of September. Yes, already our troops are ready from Kenya National Union of Teachers, and we have made our proposals. It would be a waste, the proposal for the 2025 CBA, 2029.
Yes.
So without implementing this second phase, it would have been a total waste. So we were to go out there and demand that this must be implemented. Other issues, promotions or capitation for medical cover, and the issue of third-party deductions.
Yes.
These are administrative issues. For example, matters of promotion. Kenya National Union of Teachers had a whole week with Teacher Service Commission in Naivasha, and we had assembled over 20,000 cases. We presented to TSC, and we were looking into these cases blow by blow. What was the reason for stagnation for this teacher? Can we get the reason? And we formed what we call a team, a technical team, with 4 from KNUT and 4 from Teacher Service Commission. And this is an ongoing process. So it is rather an administrative issue. It is not a labor issue as such.
Okay.
For the employment of the 46,000 to P&P, I want to tell you, we looked at it because when we withdrew the notice, we had a long discussion with the National Executive Council, which has the powers to call a strike or to withdraw or call off a strike.
Yep.
So these are the few issues that we looked at.
Okay.
We had a team that had 4 cases. One, these young and women went to the streets sometimes in the year. They were served with show cause letters. The same team were again served with, their contract being cancelled. The same team was invited for disciplinary action by Teacher Service Commission. The same team, that is the 46,000, were given warning letters. In our own perception and view, is this a team that you can call out and tell them, let us go on strike? Can you run out in the streets again? This is a delicate team that was already wounded. The issue of industrial action needs a lot of, strategy. If you are leading a strike that, is members are not together as they move, you stand to lose.
Okay.
Others will be in school, others will be outside here. And then what we looked at, the major issue had been sorted out. Implementation of the
implementation of part 2.
Yes.
In implementation of part 2 of the 2021-2025 CBA, which was supposed to have been implemented by July this year.
Right.
By the time all of this was happening, with the meetings going on, that implementation took place, right?
Correct.
And we saw that some of the payments that were being sought after, whether it was an increment in salary, then was going to be taken into consideration for payments this August that ends tomorrow, essentially.
Correct.
That was going to happen. So
it has happened.
It has happened already.
Right.
So payments then have been taken into consideration.
Right.
Is that what formed the decision for Kenya National Union of Teachers to now say, all right, based on having done that, we will then withdraw the strike notice and our teachers will go back to school on Monday?
Not absolutely, because the issue of capitation for the medical cover, we were informed by Teacher Service Commission, which we confirmed, that the 832 service providers, those are hospitals, engaged by Minute, are treating teachers. So no teacher would be sent away and told we cannot treat you. We confirmed that. Then again, the third-party deductions, banks and SACCOs confirmed. We have received money from Teacher Service Commission. Yeah. I've told you the other issue of promotion. My technical team and Teacher Service Commission technical team are in place and they're working on it. If you've been implemented the second phase of the CB, and these other issues are also in, why else do you want me to insist that teachers must go out?
Okay, so based on that is when now we now said, at least KNUT,
let us withdraw the notice.
Withdraw the notice and go back.
And it is a meeting that took close to 6 hours.
Okay.
6 hours.
All right. Your counterparts, then I really wish he was here, but we'll see if he will come. And all unions together, though, but now we're looking at many things happening at the same time. You jointly had an agreement.
Correct.
Or am I wrong? That we said we all together are on the same page.
We are together on the same page. Can we move together and face the employer?
Yeah. The CBA includes everyone.
Correct.
Okay?
Right.
So why would it be then that KNUT decides we are going to go back, but KUPPET insists that there are certain things were not done yet? Or is there
when you go to the negotiation table, let me tell you, we are duty bound to negotiate on behalf of our members. When you go to the negotiation table, you have 10 issues. If you've scored 7 out of 10, do you insist that you must still remain there for the other 3? You live to fight another war. Because it is very, very dangerous to engage in a strike action where you've achieved key issues. And if you insist, you might actually shoot yourself in the leg. I just want to give you an example of a hunter. Hunters go for, whichever animal is in the bush or in the forest. Antelopes, rabbits. You've gotten the antelope. It is placed here. Do you put aside the antelope and start going for the rabbit? Issues like medical cover, which we sorted out with Minute. And I want to tell you, we made a follow-up as Kenya National Union of Teachers. We sat with Minute top brass on the 27th to confirm to us, have you received capitation from Teacher Service Commission?
Yeah.
They told us, can you make a call to any hospital that has refused to treat your teachers? And we take action straight away. Because although we've not been funded fully, and we are in contract with Teacher Service Commission, the bit that we receive, we send to these hospitals. We don't want to have teachers out there not treated at all. And we made calls. I have 110 branches in this country. And I task every branch executive secretary to make sure that these hospitals, service providers, all of them across the country, and I mentioned 832, that is not a small number.
No, it's not.
Are treating teachers are in good time. That's what is happening. So could I still wait and, have teachers outside there when my demands have been met?
Did it need to go to the place where a strike notice was issued in order for TSC to then act? Because it seems as though that is what happened. Well, it doesn't seem as though. That's exactly what happened.
Come again?
That is exactly what happened. That the strike notice was issued, and that is when we saw action from TSC to do some of the things. Was it necessary that it had to wait for a strike notice to be given before they realized, okay, wait a minute, we've not implemented?
That is where we blame Teacher Service Commission. Much of this has been created by Teacher Service Commission. There are things that you must make a follow-up to very fast. We did not contract Minute. When Minute is not performing as per the contract, it is the duty of the Teacher Service Commission to make a follow-up and say, yes, we pay you for this contract. What is happening? Can you come up and save our faces? Failure to which, these teachers will go out. And exactly that was what we were prepared to do. If Teacher Service Commission could not go far and wide to make sure that Minute contracted hospitals are treating teachers, then hell would have broken loose. Yeah.
Okay. There are many calls so primary schools now, learning is going on. Teachers are in school. This is continuing. But we cannot look at that action void of what is happening at the next level of learning. There have been calls from across board stakeholders, namely Parents Association, saying, we are also students themselves, especially those who are sitting their Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exams this term, at the end of this term, who've said, okay, come back to school. We've had this discussion. After all, KNUT have come back to school because certain tenets have been met, which you've explained. Should that be the call for your counterparts as well?
Yeah, I think Teacher Service Commission should also give room to our counterparts now. They went to court and there was a court order. Engaging in a strike action might seem very simple, but coming out of it, very complicated. Like in my case, those teachers who are not satisfied, you know what they told me? Secretary General, no. It is wrong to have withdrawn the notice. We wanted even to go out there for 2 days. It is long since we went out, and we have good rubber shoes. We're not used to them. You get? Is that reason enough? So we are appealing to Teacher Service Commission because I saw a letter by Secretary General KUPPET proposing to Teacher Service Commission to meet them so that they can resolve the impasse. And Teacher Service Commission insisted, please, first of all, withdraw the case in court. Abide by the court order, because the court order was, can teachers go to school? You get?
Yes.
I want to insist here that Teacher Service Commission should move very fast, talk to KUPPET, I know what we gained is what KUPPET will gain.
Were they speaking in silos to the different unions?
Pardon?
Because it seemed as though everybody was called in, have a conversation with KNUT, then maybe have a conversation with KUPPET, and then KNUT was quickly, KNUT quickly agreed and said, let's move on.
I think
were people being spoken to in silos when the notice for strike was given kind of jointly? So why then should there be separate conversation?
I think when we gave out the notice, Teacher Service Commission invited all of us.
Yes.
And we sat together.
Mm-hmm.
After this meeting, we had another kangaroo meeting to weigh our options.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were together to say, let us guide our members of the National Executive Council, that is in my case, and KUPPET also to guide the members of the Governing Council. Those are the two top organs that will direct that the strike continues or we withdraw. When I sat with mine, they listened. They said, fine, we've gone through this route and we know how we burnt our fingers. If the key issue has been sorted out, can you promise that the other administrative issues will be sorted out? We told them, no, part of this has been sorted out. For example, the third-party deductions. In the meeting, we had members of the National Executive Council who could confirm that indeed the banks had confirmed with them, the SACCOs had confirmed with them, that the issue of the third-party deductions sorted out. You know, there's being popular and doing the right thing. I think I should focus on doing the right thing. And that is what Kenya National Union of Teachers did.
Okay.
You know, the matter is now in court. You know, the mention is on the 5th of September. And yet, after it all, it is what we gained that KUPPET shall also have gained.
So are you saying that KUPPET, before you take a break, KUPPET is not doing the right thing?
No. You know, sticking on the issue of the industrial action was not very wise. Because you have to weigh and see what is it that our members have gained. I want to tell you, the CBA implementation of the second phase had two major advantages. Advantage number one is payment of these monies in arrears. Number two, an opening for negotiation of a new CBA, a 4-year cycle of a CBA.
Yeah.
Without which, if this was not implemented, you don't have any business initiating a new CBA.
Indeed.
You cannot.
The Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Collins Oyuu, is our guest this hour, and we're looking at, the current impasse. We know that KNU teachers have gone back to work. They did open the term and are teaching, but they formed, or rather gave the strike notice as a joint union strike notice. Your partners have decided they're not going back, and we're trying to look at some of the intrigues and say, what needs to be done to, number one, get their needs addressed, and number two, get them back into classrooms. You're saying it's right now for KUPPET teachers to go back to class. There are also certain things that have happened, and I've been of the opinion, and we have these conversations quite some, that TSC, as mandated by a CBA, because you rightly said it is lodged, it is deposited in court,
Correct.
making it legally binding,
Right.
whereas two parties, in this case, between unions and the TSC, have made an agreement, which is what a CBA is.
Yeah.
It is legally binding for them to follow the elements and tenets of that CBA.
Correct.
In the event that that does not happen in a timely fashion, there is abrogation of that agreement.
Correct.
In this case, by the TSC. Now, should they come back to the table and make an agreement about how they're going to move forward, or in this case, like you said, implement a certain number of things? We're going to pay you, it becomes evident in your August pay slip. We're going to sort out some issues. You go to hospital today as a teacher, those things are sorted out. If that has all been sorted out, why would we have a situation where TSC goes to court and puts in an injunction so that strikes must then be called off, number one? Number two, has its officers going round country and saying, those of you who have not shown up to work, we will now issue with show cause letters. And then number three, goes ahead to say that there's a court injunction in place, and if you don't get back to work, we give you show cause letters, and at the same time, even a further discussion we will not have with you until you come back to work. Meanwhile, it is the TSC who went against the tenets, like you've admitted to, of the CBA. But now they're playing hardball.
Right.
Why?
Now, I think TSC, where they sit, they have actually implemented the second phase of the CBA. If they didn't, you are right to go to court. And in that case, court would have forced Teachers Service Commission to comply. And because they feared we'd go to court about this, they simply complied. And as I told you, teachers have earned their second phase in arrears, July and August.
You're saying this money has been paid?
It has been paid.
Let me ask the question. There was a delay, there was a threat that was occasioned by that notice. Is it that the TSC genuinely did not have the money, or is it that for some reason or the other they did not prioritize this?
I think it was not a delay.
Yes.
July 1st and our pronouncement in August, that was no delay. They totally refused to pay. They didn't pay. It was not a delay. A delay can be a couple of maybe days and weeks, and you tell us now there's a delay.
Yeah.
They literally refused to comply. The second phase was to commence on the 1st of July.
Tell us a little bit about the second phase.
Yes.
What were the details of this second phase?
The second, the CBA 2021-2025
Yes.
was cashless. There was no monetary value at all.
Yes. We're talking about things like
yes,
leaves, specifically paternity leave,
yes,
such things like this,
There was, based on the COVID-19, that was explanation from SRC, that with the impact of the COVID-19, now the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has directed that new CBAs shall not have any cash component. We accepted after deliberations, but we pegged our hope in the review clause of the CBA, which came in 2023. The review clause gave a monetary gain of the CBA at 2.5 to 9%, which was spread in 2 years. And we signed. Then the agreement was, this shall be paid in 2 phases. Phase 1 was paid in January last year. Phase 2 was to commence in July this year. By the end of July, there was nothing. We got into August. Then we were asking Teachers Service Commission, what did we agree? What was the agreement? Where is phase 2? Are you stopping us from commencing the new CBA 2025-2029 by stopping the payment of the second phase? Now, when the worst came to the worst, and we made a pronouncement of the industrial action, very quickly, Teachers Service Commission went around looking for money. They first called us, they told us, no, look at the Finance Bill 2020. We told them, no, that is not our business. We made an agreement. This was deposited in a court of law, the Employment and Labor Relations Court. Please comply. Comply. We cannot run away from this. You go look for money. I don't know where Teachers Service Commission got the money. And it is now paid in arrears. Teachers have earned their July bit, and the August salary has the second phase implemented. Yeah.
It's very interesting that something that on the face of it we were discussing, it seems fairly simple and straightforward. Well, it isn't, and it can't be, because of the number of times that your union and KUPPET have actually spoken clearly and said, look, if these matters that we agreed upon are not met, this is where I'm going with my question, my thinking. Must it get to the point where there is a strike notice for the TSC to do what it knows very well it's supposed to do, because they also agreed to do that. They signed off on it.
Correct.
Everything about it.
Correct.
They were part and parcel of
You're
it.
right. You're right.
Yes.
And that is the same question we are asking. Must we give a strike notice so that we have peace? What is happening? So, even in our further discussions with Teacher Service Commission, I think we should take this seriously. Look at the situation in our schools now. Who is to blame? Is it the unions of Teacher Service Commission?
No, I don't think so.
It is Teacher Service Commission, because if you agree, surely comply.
Right.
Must we pronounce a strike action?
You mentioned a couple of times the CBA 2025-2029.
Right.
Why is it necessary? If things are running, well, obviously they're not, the manner in which they should be, is it necessary then to continually have CBAs in place? Because it's almost as though we are saying, we need to have something legally binding, that somebody will come and check up on you in order for you to do your job the way in which it's supposed to be done. That we need to have a legal setup in place in form of a CBA. Because if we do not, then the likelihood of you to do this run away into the sunset behavior that we've been seeing is going to increase. So we're trying to finish this 2025 one, and so that we can quickly put one in place so that you can check yourselves as a commission. It's not a deterioration of the process all the time having to have a CBA in place, because without one, it's evident that you will not do what you're supposed to do.
Now, CBAs must be put in place after every 4 years. That is the running cycle of a CBA. And in fact, ILO made a proposal that the best, with the current inflation globally, a CBA should have a life cycle of 2 years. We are still going by the 4-year cycle. Why? You know, our consumer index keeps on changing. Inflations keep on changing. We cannot be static. Prices of commodities, keep on shooting. Now I have a technical team that is working on a new CBA based on the current commodity prices.
Because if
sugar 5 years ago, 4 years ago, was not the same.
So are you saying that if there's no CBA in place, that there's so many things that will change, and nobody is going to ensure that those things are taken into consideration for the welfare of members?
Correct.
Okay.
There must be a CBA in place.
Okay.
And I want to tell you, a CBA is based on the industrial charter, based on the constitution of this country, and the relative labor laws in this country. It has to be there. Yes. For workers, there must be a CBA.
There's a plea that's coming from those who are taught, in this case, in my opinion, primary stakeholders. They are the students.
Right.
They are. And there's a plea from them that, look, especially from across the country, the almost 1 million Form 4, 800,000+, who are saying, we're taking our exams. This is a review term, and we're already 1 week down the line without any guidance. Do you think it's when we hear those voices that everybody should say, okay, fine, for the sake of the students, go back to school? Is that something worth?
No. We are also parents. As teachers, we're also parents. And if the right thing has not been done to the teacher, the impact of staying out of school will also affect my child. So let us consider workers first. But in a case where issues that should be addressed have been addressed, I think it is important that we resume work and, withdraw the industrial action. If it were not for the implementation of the CBA, which could not by any way, be escaped by Teacher Service Commission, I want to tell you, things would have not been the same. Yes.
It would have been much more different.
Yeah, but for these other issues that I've listed down here, I've been briefed you, like the third-party deductions, even our own members of the NEC confirmed that the position now is that Teacher Service Commission has remitted third-party deductions to banks and SACCOs. Yeah.
Okay. Joining us now is the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, Akelo Misori. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
We were hoping that you would have been here some, 45 minutes ago.
Yes.
But
it was not easy because of the events that you know of.
Of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were some subtle meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm very sorry.
But I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, in fact, you can see how I revere this studio viewers.
Asante sana.
We thank you for the honor and for the respect and for coming.
Indeed, very grateful that you've come. And yes, your meetings have been going well into the night. Your meetings have been going, well past midnight into the next mornings. And it's good to hear some perspective from you as well, because this is one situation that the whole nation, not in part, but that the whole nation is involved in when we are looking at students, gone back to school, but we're looking at the fundamental issues that affect teachers. Akelo, give us a situation report, essentially, of where we are, with some elements taken into consideration. We've heard what the TSC has said. We know they went to court asking teachers to go back. We know that KNUT teachers went back to school on Monday, withdrew the strike notice essentially, and that KUPPET declined to withdraw the strike notice and have said we want TSC on the table. But then we're also hearing that there are certain demands which have been met by TSC, but KUPPET still holds fast and says we're not doing this. What's happening?
Thank you so much. I think I would have been more free to talk when my brother is not here. But now that you have chosen to have him here, I don't know whether when I throw a punch, you'll stop it.
Well,
don't worry.
He is your brother. So the likelihood
of you throwing a punch is...
that can come from a brother to kill a brother.
No.
Yes, it is true that industrial action that we are involved in was part of a very protracted arrangement that we had involved ourselves in together with our brother at KNUT. He is aware that we visited their offices. They also visited our offices. We had joint arrangement and how to handle, because in the past it has been separate ways. But that granted did not work, because we moved after the last minute, and we were surprised that the demands of the teachers had been met. We were surprised, because after the last day when we had a meeting at School of Government, he is aware that the Teacher Service Commission told us, after very protracted and after a lot of circulars, which themselves are the ones who created, because they did not want KUSNET to be part of the discussion.
The discussion.
In fact, with us, we had not known why this one was an issue, but apparently this one was a strategy to suck us deeper into the war. Now the war began. The Teacher Service Commission gave us in word that we now have the money to pay full implementation.
Okay.
And then we said, where is it?
We want to see it.
We want to see the implementation schedule, because Teacher Service Commission is an enabled commission and independent, which works with. If they were looking for money to implement the CBA, then they had already worked on how it works. So it was not there. But the Teacher Service Commission wanted us to address a joint press, which both of us refused. So we left.
Yeah.
And we
because you had not seen tangible move towards implementation of what they had said.
Of the CBA.
Okay. All right.
Secondly, there were also others, which himself is the one who summarized that we have 4 other issues. These 4 other issues, what are you saying about them? At some stage, there were emotions. And then they said, no, what was cut crossing is now given. What else do you want? I want to indicate here that the relationship between an employer and employee in that social dialogue platform is that one of equality.
Yes.
It is not that one of God giving a human being a covenant. That one is called a suzerain. He read theology. I know, because he was almost becoming a priest. If it was not because of this kind of behavior. So what happened? They read that we have given you an employer. Then he said, if you are an employer, good. But how are you going to handle the following? That one was also just in word. So that's why we are where we are. So we both sides moved. In fact, they were very fast. And we compared notes. They moved and called their steering committee. They met. I also met my board.
Yeah.
He told me they are calling their NEC, and according to them, they are not satisfied.
Why would there be conversations in silos when there was a joint notice of strike?
That is why I'm talking about treachery. Yeah, and in fact, dishonesty of the highest order. But that one is granted because we are political formations. Anything can happen.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you saying that the monies that were promised your members did not receive? Were any payments made, or is there evidence that any payments were made?
There was no payment up to yesterday. After yesterday, when there is proof that there is payment. Some banks have received the money, but not all the banks.
Okay.
By yesterday. But that day we were talking at Kenya School of Government, the CEO to the commission was in a hurry to leave to go and pay teachers. And it was not paid also. Even out of the time, we were now asking our members to make a decision on industrial action. There was no payment. There was no proof. There was no circular which could convince them that this thing has been done.
So, Akelo, what you were waiting for in this sense is if there had been some proof, even somebody has said Nime Bonyeza sent, that, you know, money then has been paid. Are you saying that we would have said, okay, guys, there's some goodwill. We have seen that something at some level has been done. Come back to school?
That is always a consideration we make when a move has occurred. That consideration I cannot be in control over because I am a mouthpiece of an organ or organs of the organization. I don't need to load it on them because that is what happens. So even if that one had happened, there were a host of other issues which there were still gray areas. Now let me just tell you another issue, because in the interest of the child, which my brother would want to drum upon us, I don't know whether they are better teachers than us. That one is one. But who has made concessions in this? If the Teacher Service Commission is genuine in this, we are in a relationship. In fact, if they have gone to court, they have secured court orders and so on. That one I cannot discuss its merit because it will have its light in court. I will address myself to this. You are in a relationship. The house is burning, and from outside, instead of bringing water, you bring what we call petrol and even some peppers, and you fuel it.
Yeah.
So what happened is that when they went to court, they got the ruling ex parte. And that ruling, the first person to have informed us about that, there's a court order, were the press. Members were informing us before we were served. So
this is coming.
Yeah, this is coming. And already with them, that one was on a Tuesday. The strike began on
Monday.
So, my brother has never organized a strike at the national office. He has been a participant when he was in the branch. It is easier to start than to end. I see. It is not a walk in the park. I see. So we are asking them, why don't we why don't we get away, because we are in a relationship, whether you're bruised to me, like for example, in the family, you can choose to tell your husband or your wife that we have children here. If we continue with this kind of fight, the matter may be in court.
Collins is here though,
Yes.
and he did say he's right here, and he did say that actually he's taking the children into consideration and said, you know what, certain things have been done.
But let me tell you,
had the implementation.
let me just tell you one thing.
Just a second, Akelo. If the implementation, the July phase 2, had not happened, then we would be in a totally different place here.
Correct.
But according to what he's saying, that okay, they've done something. What we've asked, they've done. In consideration of that, go back. Is that what you're saying, Colin?
Correct. Allow me to give some response, and I'm sure you'll also be blocking my blows from hitting hard on my brother. I'm happy he mentioned that I was to become a priest. I think that is why I'm very honest. I'm honest, and I would not wish to be popular. I would wish to say the right thing and do the right thing. Teachers Service Commission sat with the two teams, the two unions in Kenya School of Government. And it is not right to cheat. The issue that took a lot of time was the issue of KUSNET. He said KUSNET is a union for special needs education teachers. We didn't want KUSNET in the hall. And when he says that we took a lot of time and my team was...
Why didn't you want KUSNET in the hall?
They did not. They were there to talk with the employer, yet they had not given a strike notice. Why were they supposed to be there?
Okay.
but how do you know that they are not? Because that is another question.
Because
even you realize
your strike notice.
You had not issued you had not even registered an industrial dispute.
What are you sure?
And you
I have a letter from the CS, the CS Ministry of Labor, having registered not only a documented, what do you call it?
Notice.
Notice, no information about the strike, but even verbally we sat with the CS and we told him we are registering with you industrial dispute.
Okay.
And in a few hours, our document went to the CS, and I think I even told you. You know one thing, my brother, it is very good to be honest.
Did you share with
the
us
issue?
Your papers, because we shared with you? Did you share with us yours?
Was it a must to share? You are not the Ministry of Labor.
Well, I mean, you came together on a joint, and I have to bring that in. That you came. You came together on a joint idea.
There's something called goodwill.
Yes. In fact, they didn't share with us. We got it from the Ministry of Labor.
Oh, so they did not give it to you?
They didn't give it to us.
So
I saw it on social media.
So essentially, you're saying they should have gone to the Ministry of Labor to get a copy of yours.
Exactly. Now, the issue of KUSNET, the first person to pronounce that we had people in the house, strangers in the house. This was moved by my chairman and his chairman, and we planned. It was a plan of the two unions that KUSNET should not stay here. You get? And Teacher Service Commission used this for the better part of the discussion. But finally...
That's what took the time.
Correct. We agreed.
Okay.
Now, the issue of confirming whether there was this delayed CBA money in the teacher's payroll. Technically, a payroll is closed by 24th. You get? 24th of every month, the latest. But Teacher Service Commission told us they are not going to close the payroll until they factor in July in arrears and August pay with the second phase of the CBA. It is one thing that you cannot do overnight. And I want to tell you, Teacher Service Commission was camping in Machakos. You know, when you're working as a union leader, you must have your antennas.
Are you part of the TSC secretary?
My antennas. my antennas, those feelers. You must have feelers.
There are people on the ground who are telling you.
Yeah, you cannot just lead without feelers. You must have feelers. And for example, again, when we talked of withdrawing our notice, we did not call off the strike. We withdrew the notice, preparing. If teachers are not paid, we reinstate the
just reinstate it.
The notice.
What was the general sentiment, Akelo, when you heard that KNUT were going to go to work on Monday? And what was your hope that we would stay together until this point?
Before he answers that, Akelo, I spoke to you, and I also spoke to your chairman.
It is me who called you.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
you
we
remember,
spoke.
yeah.
And I think the idea was, look, if we get the elephant in the house, let us think twice. These other issues are very administrative. We can do them. And even the day you were meeting at Kasarani, I spoke to your chairman. And the chairman kept on telling me, we agreed, that is himself and I, we cannot make a mistake. If this money is coming, then we shall be the last people doing a very big mistake of telling teachers go out.
Okay, so Akelo, I'm coming back to that question and saying, what was the sentiment when you heard, like the rest of us heard, that KNUT was going back to school on Monday? Or rather, the strike notice was withdrawn, and it was a joint strike notice that was given at the beginning. What was the sentiment, or what was the hope?
Let me just correct a misconception. There was no joint.
Oh, it was not joint? You had not come together?
We had only...
We spoke together, but we gave different strike notices.
All right.
We had joint approach to handle this case. And every union has got its own mandate to execute.
Right.
And when I saw the members agitated by the reports we had given them from the school of government, I came out of the meeting and I called him. He told me they had got a tea break, but you already told me that with them they are calling off.
Okay.
He did not tell me that.
Withdrawing.
Whatever the case, it is the same thing. Because what was there is the strike, which was there. So I shared with my chairman, whom he has now confirmed they had talked. The chairman did not tell me. My chairman did not tell me that we have talked with Oyuu.
Yeah.
And this is the understanding. I shared with the chairman that KNUT, before we conduct a vote, KNUT is not going on strike.
Yes.
There's a gap there which we missed us, and that gap is related to after the school of government meeting. We agreed to continue meeting, which we did not, because apparently with them they are already convinced.
Okay.
They were already convinced that they would call off, because they called the meeting was on Wednesday. They called a steering on Thursday, and they made up their mind. There are certain things which we do in politics, our politics, which he came. I was in Austral, and I told him, "Can you wait until I finish with Dr." Yeah. We talked. Up to around. Not waiting. It is me who arrived at that hotel first. I don't want. I told him to come, and then we met at the hotel. But he did not pay for my dinner.
Oh no!
Although he's the one who sought that meeting. Yeah, but so I don't know. He said he did. So what happened here? Yeah. We discussed, but I was shocked because he told me this intention. I had known his intention as early as Thursday. We are making decision on Sunday.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he spoke to you.
Well, we spoke. It was a very candid
Very
engagement.
sincerely. Very sincerely. I'm very honest.
Yeah, we spoke. So, but I told him, why have you changed this fast? How are you going to guarantee that these pertinent issues we had raised
Will be sorted
out? According to the rule of our game, if the employer has not responded as expected, you even ask for a timeout. You ask them to prepare to bring this. The Teacher Service Commission came and read a suzerain covenant that we have given you a CBA. What else do you want? This one was the most important thing. You know, in our relationship, and the teachers do not just look for money. Even at this place where you work, there are other terms and conditions of service, of work, that will make your work bearable. And even if you are paid $1 billion, you'll still just say, yeah, you stay with your money, let me go. And that one was supposed to be addressed. One of the examples which I want to say, which affects majority of his members, than even mine, because there are many, that somebody works in the same job group for over 15 years. This one was supposed to be addressed, even if it would be an administrative.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to get a response. And the response was, according to him, which I don't understand, is that, yes, the employer would come and say, our members, we are constrained. We cannot discuss this matter owing to the weight issue, because it is 130,000 teachers to be promoted. This one will require so much money, and we, as a government, we don't have it. We either refuse or accept that position. Then we go to the next one, and that has been the practice.
So what has been the current case? Because what we know
The current
right now
case
is that
was-
TSC says...
The current case is, this is, I'm the employer, you must trust me.
This is what they are saying. They are also saying, even further to that, from what we've seen today, is that they've said, look, KUPPET is saying, we want to discuss with TSC. TSC is saying, withdraw your strike and then we can talk. It seems as though there's a stalemate.
You know one thing, my sister, and with something very important. Once a dispute is registered with the competent jurisdiction, you have just to chew the bullet and go through that competent jurisdiction. We have written, I don't know whether my colleagues have not written. These are problems are been there all along. We have written thousands and thousands of letters. But this is a firefighting commission. A firefighting commission. Because when now we have come to this level, then they now come to force things. Because they know they want to push you to a corner so that you are so desperate. So that level, we are already desperate because we are poorly paid. We are the single most public service group which is poorly paid. Look, when the doctors were on the streets, you realize that their interns were asking for 207,000, and the government was offering 77,000. In the public service, the interns, graduate interns, are being paid 25,000 shillings. Ours are being paid 20,000. Have you seen that thing? You in Nairobi here alone, I don't want to delve into the merit of this our colleague. In Nairobi here, how can you pay a teacher 17,000, and that is the rent, that is the transport, and that is the
School fees for their own children.
For their children.
Yes, food, health, all this.
Some certain things make me mad. We are teaching in schools where some of our children cannot learn.
That's true. So here we are, and there's a message to the TSC. What would that be coming from you, Akelo?
I cannot negotiate my way in the press with the TSC. Yes.
They refuse to come to the table.
Yeah.
They're saying the only... TSC has said the only way they will come to the table
it will
is
be
if
misconstrued
withdraws.
because the agent is here. It will be construed to something else. I will not negotiate my way with it.
Akelo, are you essentially saying that your brother is an agent of the TSC?
Let me speak. You know,
These two gentlemen,
They
we
broke
said in
bread
Kiswahili,
together the other day.
Waswahili wapemba wanajuana kwa vilemba. Yes.
tunajuana sana kwa vilemba.
Yes.
Mimi si Kiswahili si mdomo changu, lakini naweza kujimudu kiume ili nidhihirishe dhahiri kwamba lugha na imanya kidogo. Hasa, the whole thing is, let us be very honest to ourselves. Taking an industrial action, and I'm happy you said it, starting is very easy. coming out of it is hell. And I'm happy I saw your letter, my brother Akelo, writing to Teacher Service Commission. You know,
he's the one who received it.
When you
let me just say, he's the one who received it.
It is in social media.
No, he's the one who received
social
it.
media.
I want to bring. I have been a clip.
He said, order. You said that I was only a participant in national strikes
At the branches.
I want to tell you that I was very close with the organizers of national strikes, and especially Adongo Adea. I was like his, mtu wa mkono. And I used a bicycle to be sent with circulars to branch offices. It is easy to call an industrial action. And your teachers say, it is good we are even flexing our muscles for 3 days. Look at where it has placed you. While these teachers have earned their second phase of the CBA in full, and it is backdated to July. These are the issues, as I said. These issues should not take you to the streets. Iron them out on the table.
Do you agree with that, Akelo?
Before you even have an input, when you see a Secretary General writing to the employer and saying, we are kindly requesting that we sit, it means that you are in a corner that you cannot run away from.
No.
We, as Kenya National Union of Teachers.
Is that not just a polite way of addressing?
No. Yes. It is not a labor, it is not a union language. Unions demand.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying that the language presupposes
this was a
that
clear indication.
They're okay, that they're ready to come back.
They are ready to come back, which I really appreciate. Okay. And I said Teacher Service Commission should now show some leadership. If a Secretary General of a union has indicated that they would rather have you on the table so that we have a return to work formula, coming out of it, even going on a strike for 1 day, you must sign a return to work formula. So when the employer says we are not ready to come, you see, you'll continue suffering. Okay. And the Kenya National Union of Teachers has an experience.
All right.
When he was in bed with TSC sometimes back, we were out of bed. I think he thinks that we are in bed with Teacher Service Commission.
I don't think he thinks that. I think he's very overtly said it, essentially, because he said that you're the agent of TSC in the room right here.
He was an agent. That is why he can actually mention that we can be agents. He was an agent at some time.
Our time is coming to a head, Akelo, but I would like to hear from you. In the coming days, what are we to see? You mentioned earlier that, there seems to be, it seems as though it's kind of some emotional blackmail where people are saying, you know what, for the sake of the students, for the sake of the Form 4s under your umbrella who will be sitting KCSE this year, for the sake of goodwill, whereby TSC has done 1, 2, 3, whether they were forced into the corner or not, is there the consideration of allowing or saying teachers should come back to school?
I think the agent has told you that if there's leadership, then things can be okay. But I want to say this. There's a misconception that we are about education, and Kenyans are always mad about the exams. Learning is critical at any stage. Learning is critical at any stage, and therefore you cannot say that because they are candidates, because you only focus, then you must trample on the teachers' right. That must be removed. It is important to note that in a relationship of this nature, you cannot say that I'm pleading. But we must start. If somebody does not want to show leadership, the only person who is the face of that leadership from the worker side is the General Secretary. So somebody cannot insinuate that if you see a Secretary General writing a letter like that, then that person is desperate.
So, Akelo,
if that is what is called down blackmail,
I hear
that you think that these people are so desperate, and maybe even his action maybe have been influenced by past experience, not because of the resolve that the teachers of this country have. The teachers of this country when they are the ones who are now on that strike, my duty is basically to call it. If they ask me, can you call it off? I don't have any business to come here to chase thumbs.
But the teachers are saying we are still here.
Yeah, if they say they are still here, you let them be there.
What is it going to take? And this is the last question. What is it going to take?
It is unfortunate. It is going to take toll. First, the behavior which is exhibited both by our teachers, are you seeing, during this strike, is not depicting the professional touch that we envisage as professionals. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
But they have been moved. When they are hungry, they become now angry. And therefore, this is also a method of venting their anger. So you cannot stop it. You cannot stop it. But the person who has perpetuated this is the person. In fact, I don't know what my brother is saying is honest. But if he is honest, let him confirm this statement. Did you see one of the commissioners says you can go on strike? And throwing his hands, almost touching the chair to the commission. You can't go on strike. Why did you see that event in that encounter at school government?
I saw it.
You saw it?
I saw it.
So that one was a terrible incitement. And that's a friend of mine, even a classmate. In fact,
Mnajuana kwa vilemba.
You I think you will be arrested.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Look, I think that the next couple of days are going to be very relevant. It will be clear what will happen in the next few days, whether there will be a conversation or whether there will be a return to work finally from both of you in a minute. What are you hoping will happen? And essentially, Akelo, what will happen? Just with you, Collins.
I think our teachers already in school, having been directed by the National Executive Council, that is a supreme body. What I would wish to say about Teacher Service Commission and KUPPET. Already, KUPPET has written to Teacher Service Commission. The position that they are taking will not actually help much. If KUPPET wants to sit with TSC, let TSC sit with KUPPET and let these issues be sorted out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Akelo?
I hope that there will be speedy resolution of the crisis. Yeah, because it is not helping anybody.
It isn't. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here this morning. I think there's always hope that there's resolution of anything that's causing this kind of tension. And I think over and above all, that folks who are supposed to do a certain thing will actually do what they're supposed to do. Find out where you fall in that last statement. Thank you. We've done a rare thing and gone over by 20 minutes, but it was necessary to have this conversation. Thank you for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation this week.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.